right, everybody, it's Tony with Blacktop Magazine, and here I am, Michael Stoops. How are you?
Oh, always a pleasure to see you, man.
Good to see you,
Thanks
too.
for bringing Riffraff down again.
Oh, yeah. We're here in the Meguiar's garage, and, well, Mike, you know, I was here about a year ago, right?
Yep.
And you guys helped out on the black and made it nice and shiny and black again.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
And since then, you've been hounding for me to bring it back.
Yeah, I'm like, I can be persistent. But the roof needed some work. I mean, it's a killer paint job, but it had some issues.
Yeah.
And I thought we could make it better.
All right. And I think we did.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah, you look at the before and afters,
Right.
it's like, hey, how many days did you do that? Yeah, that was quick and easy.
And what we did was we painted the roof over at Canberra Speed Shop. Hitoshi did that, and we did it all real quick on the fly to get it done for cruising for a cure. So we didn't let it cure out, gas out, and so it had a little bit of orange peel going on.
There's a lot of paint up there too, though. You got multiple layers, and I mean, it's pretty involved. It's not just squirt and go. There's a lot going on up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so orange peel is one thing, but the solvent pop was another issue as well. Yeah.
So the solvent pop, is that where you get those divots, like
yeah,
a crater?
Yeah, you literally get the solvent's trying to get out, and the problem is you've got so many layers of fresh paint, for lack of a better description, it almost starts to bubble up to the surface.
Yeah.
So we call it solvent pop. It's almost like when you have a bubble that comes up and it pops and it leaves a little crater, because the paint's now starting to harden and it doesn't reflow as much anymore, so you end up with some of these little divots, and some of them can be pretty deep.
So what did we do? I mean, I see some of the product here we used.
We fixed it. End of story. No, we
bunch of black magic. Meguiar's black.
Magic. Yeah. There's a little science, a little art, a little craft, little black magic. Yeah. We did a multiple sanding step process, and I know a lot of you will think, well, just sand it once and then buff it out, but modern paint doesn't like a lot of heat. What we did was with a pneumatic DA, right, rather than by hand, we did 3 steps, right? We did the 1,000 grit 3M Trizac, and then we followed it with 3,000 grit, and we finished it with 5,000. And you saw the change in the surface, especially after we hit it with the 5,000.
Yeah, it was already shiny, you know.
Yeah, it almost looked like we polished it at that point. So after the 5,000 grit, like to your point, it started to look shiny again. And now the buff out's a piece of cake. You one time on one spot had to work pretty aggressively to get rid of a deeper scratch.
Right.
And you noticed the paint, your comment was, oh, it got a little warm.
Right, yeah.
And the only time it even got a little warm was when you had to get pretty aggressive on one spot. Otherwise, we put zero heat into this paint.
Right.
And you look at the before and after pictures, and it's pretty amazing.
It is. It is. It's really nice.
It's really good. And I appreciate you pointing out to me the one spot where I had left a little bit of the sanding mark in and hadn't hit it quite as yet.
And I also had a couple pigtails in mine.
But we got rid of them,
yeah,
right? But that's part of what happens when you're sanding, even if you're not trying to get super aggressive. Things can happen, so you have to keep working clean.
Yeah.
You need good light, right? Because without good light, we weren't seeing some of these issues. You throw the light on it, and oh, geez, you know. So you want to keep checking that stuff as you go, so that you don't get to a point where you think you're done, and then find out that maybe you didn't get a spot where the sanding marks are gone because you didn't have good light on it.
Right.
You got the pigtails because you weren't working clean, right? Then you have to go back and redo a bunch of stuff, and you thought you were done, and it's a lot of work. So
it is.
Pay attention, work clean.
So for getting as much done, I think we did a great job.
I think you did an outstanding job. And
thank you.
The Trizac sanding discs obviously helped, but then we threw at it to get rid of the sanding marks.
Right.
Our brand new M110. This is Ultra Pro Speed Compound. This is the first of our mirror glaze body shop safe compounds that we designed specifically with detailers, DA polishers, and microfiber discs in mind. And then we finished it with the M210.
And for somebody like me who's never done this before, you know, being able to use the DA, I wasn't worried about burning the paint off or doing something really dangerous with it.
Something like our MT300, a dual action polisher, you can get really proficient very quickly with it. And the odds of doing any damage, you almost have to try.
And then after that, we use this Ultra Pro finishing polish.
Just to give it some additional refinement, pop the gloss to the max. What this is really, this particular product's real kind of tour de force is the removal of DA haze from really soft, non-metallic black paints.
Okay.
We should again point out there were some big scratches on the quarter panel of this car.
Yeah.
And you just decided, well, I've been sanding the roof of this thing. I'm just going to dive in and sand that.
Right.
And these scratches were really nasty. It was a big eyesore on the side of the car.
Yeah.
They're completely gone.
Yeah.
And you did that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I figured what you taught me on the top, I should be able to do it there.
And you did it. But we got rid of the haze with a real quick pass with this.
Yeah.
And yellow foam, which is
Right.
kind of the killer app there. To get rid of haze on those really touch-sensitive, haze-prone
Yeah.
paints. Yeah.
And then you finished it off with this Meguiar's Ultimate Paste Wax. You didn't use much at all, and that's the thing. I
No.
think people get crazy with gooping a whole bunch on, having a big thick white haze of wax on,
Right.
waiting 2 hours
Yeah.
for it to dry to knock it off. And
It's synthetic polymers. It's all synthetic polymers in the Ultimate Wax. So it bonds to the paint almost right away. Loading it on really thick leaves literally no more protection behind.
Yeah.
So why put it on really thick? And you did the hard part, was wiping off the residue.
and that wasn't much at all.
Right.
Just a clean microfiber towel, and
It's because the person that applied it really knew what they were doing, too.
yeah, that's probably, we make a good team.
Ah, there you go. Hey, look, man, look what we've done to this car.
I
A couple of
know,
times
I
you've
know.
had it down here, and that the roof on that is really impressive now. Okay?
Well, once again, I appreciate you inviting me out here. It took us 4 times because of the rain to get here. And
It's still raining.
it's still raining, but I said, I'm coming.
Good.
We got to do
good.
this.
4 times the charm.
Yeah, and so I really appreciate that, inviting us out.
Our pleasure.
to,
Thanks for
take
coming
a
down.
look at
I wanted you down here because I needed a fun day at work, and I got it.
it. All right.
That's great. Thank you
And we
for
got
that.
some sandwiches in our belly, too.
Absolutely, yeah. And the hood looks spectacular.
It does.
So that was a lot of
Thank you
fun.
very much.
Thanks.
All
Always a
right.
pleasure. Always.